One. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. My name is David Ojenka, and I'm the founder of the Fresh Start Hub, a social enterprise that is focused on helping to significantly reduce the poor labor market outcomes of internationally trained professionals and advance the inclusion of their skills in the Canadian economy through our initiatives. We have so many things we are planning in the pipeline, but we currently have 4 initiatives right now. The first one is the weekly podcast, where I interview interesting and inspiring immigrants to share their stories, to inspire people and also instill hope in them. Because when people they have role model and they can see that somebody has achieved a certain level of career success or whatever success means to you, then they also believe that it helps them to be encouraged and to be inspired and also be hopeful that they can also achieve that level of success. The second one is the mentorship program session that we have, like this one. And we also have a career information session. We've had 3 with top employers like Cisco, the Toronto Stock Exchange, the TMX Group, and we have a job board. We just launched our job board yesterday, interestingly. So please, I'll put the link in this chat during this meeting. So please go check it out. If you find any job that you're interested in and you think that you have the skill set for, I'll be more than happy to have a conversation with you. The employers that we're posting their jobs on our platform are those that I've had conversations with, and they have agreed that, they genuinely want to hire internationally trained talent because they see the value that they bring to the table. So these organizations really want to hire you. So please don't hesitate if you find any role there or if you know anyone that may be a good fit, please feel free to reach out to me. Or you can apply directly if you don't have to reach out to me, but I would like to help you in whatever way I can, because I'm here because people also helped me. And so that's what we currently have right now, but we have a lot of things planned, I can tell you that, to help internationally trained talent, to help you. And so right now we have about 6 mentorship sessions. That's for the future. We have 4 for the future. Please, if you find any of this organization, maybe you would love to work at some of these organizations, please, and you like to be mentored by some of these amazing individuals like Deenah, please sign up. Like I said, we want to help as much as we can. And we have something very dear to my heart because that is upcoming, very, very exciting for me. It's a career accelerator boot camp. And the beautiful thing about this is free. Well, you can go do your research yourself. People pay thousands of dollars for this, and I'll tell you why. We have 6 modules. We are not just saying, okay, we want to help you review your resume and that's it. We are doing the end-to-end strategy, job search strategy. We are doing career resume review. We are bringing professionals. And, where a lot of people go now is LinkedIn to say, okay, how do I actually, present myself professionally? Who is best to tell us about how do we present ourselves professionally than the person that built the system? So I reached out to LinkedIn and they said yes. So LinkedIn is actually sending a representative to talk to participants of this boot camp about how to professional branding, how to utilize the platform effectively, how can you even use it to network effectively. So these are many other things the person will be talking about. We are also doing mock interviews, like common behavioral questions. So it will be a real role play that you see. And it's one thing to get a job. It's another thing to actually be able to negotiate your salary. So we are bringing a negotiation expert to talk to people about, how do you negotiate your salary? Because a lot of internationally trained professionals just want to get a job. They don't even negotiate, whereas you're lowballing yourself. So how do you do it well in a way that it doesn't come off to the employer like you're aggressive and all that? The third piece is, now that you've gotten the job, how do you understand the workplace culture? because you need to be able to understand. Jean, can you please? Okay. You need to understand the workplace culture. How do you understand the Canadian corporate culture? And then the final piece is, now that you understand the Canadian corporate culture, how do you grow in your career? How do you climb the corporate ladder? So we're bringing a senior executive who will talk to participants of the boot camp about, how they grew their career from as being an internationally trained professional to becoming a partner at a major consulting firm, now a senior vice president, at a senior executive at a a major organization in Canada. So, and then now that you've learned all of this, you may be wondering, okay, then we're bringing employers to actually, we'll be having like a career information session, like a career fair, where employers would, talk to participants about, why they should choose the organization. So, like I said, it's an end-to-end job search strategy. And if you've not registered yet, I would strongly encourage you to register. We're working really hard behind the scene to help as many internationally trained professionals as possible. So I think I will stop there. That's about it, about some of the things we have planned. So if you are not yet a member of the Fresh Startup community, I would strongly encourage you to join. And if you also know a few people within your network that you think might benefit from the solution we provide, I would encourage you to please share with them. So I would let Deenah take it from here. So Deenah, before I go into Deenah, like you all know, is a senior director at the Royal Bank of Canada, senior director of future of work at the Royal Bank of Canada. Deenah has many years of experience, both in tech and also in the financial service industry. Deenah is very passionate and genuinely committed to helping people succeed in their career. So thank you so much, Deenah, for this opportunity, for giving 1 hour, 30 minutes of your time on this beautiful day to us. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to be with us today. So thank you so much, Deenah. And over to you, Deenah.
Thank you. Thank you. And David, could you get us back into the screen where I get to see all of the different people's faces when possible?
Yes, let me stop sharing now.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you know what, first of all, welcome to each and every one of you for taking a step forward and committing time to yourself to think about what you want next and where you want to be and what you want to do. We end up doing so many different things in our day, and we do it for many other people. I'm grateful, and I'm glad that you're spending this time to think about the what's next, where can you go from here? And if there's anything that I can do for you or that I've learned that I can share with you, it would be my absolute pleasure to share it with you. So as David said, this is all about questions, answers, sharing, experience. But let me start with giving you a little bit of background about myself to give you some framing and some thoughts around what that could mean to you and what kind of questions you may want to ask. So we'll start off, I'm going to start with sort of my background, which is I was born in London, England. My family then moved to Nairobi, Kenya. We were in Kenya for much of my lifetime, and then we moved to Canada. And we moved directly into into Ontario, lived in, Oakville basically, and have been there since. And, I come from a background and culture that is, very Kenyan. My family is 5 generations Kenyan. And although I know that I don't look Kenyan, I'm told that all the time. and I deal with that. To be honest with you, we left because Uganda was going through so much. At that time, my family was scared. My family said, we got to pick up, we got to move, we got to try something new. And they took a chance. And at the time, Canada gave us the opportunity as a family to move here. And so deeply passionate and aware of what it feels like to be a newcomer, a different person from a different place that had an established life and a capability and education and work experience. For my family, thinking of my father in particular, and what that feels like to come to a different country with different expectations, sometimes unwritten expectations that you perceive you need to be able to have, and being tenacious and strong and figuring out what it is that you need to make yourself feel like you're filling your cup, you're achieving your goals, and you're able to do that here locally. So, that's my context from an immigrant perspective. To give you a little bit of background around me, I studied marketing. I thought forever that I wanted to be a marketer, and I became a marketer in my first position and grew through the career. I've done many different positions in the marketing field, whether that's market intelligence, demand generation, digital marketing, pure public relations. I've managed and marketing management, strategy planning, etc. And I've also managed marketing teams for business units. When I was with IBM, I managed all of marketing profession for the consulting division in Canada at IBM. I also did a whole bunch of twists and turns in my career. I moved into sales. They, at IBM, they were like, we need you out front. We need you to be selling for us. That's the best way for you to understand our business. And I moved into a hardcore sales position on commission. I have about 5.5 years now of just sales. And that is a phenomenal profession. It is service oriented. It is frontline usually for companies because you're generating revenue, and it's an exciting place to be. But I also wanted back into the marketing club, and I took a subsequent role leading software groups. I moved from Canada's IBM company to the US and joined IBM US and managed their software team, specifically focused on web and digital experience for global software group. So that sort of really touched my toe to web development and experience in that space. And also, I did a stint managing diversity and inclusion at IBM Canada, and then joined RBC 6+ years ago in the function of HR, and have now been in HR for 6 years at RBC. Not that I thought I was ever going to join HR. Some of you in this, so we'll gauge for those of you willing to participate in sharing your perspective of which of those professions, if any, are on your radar. And I'm happy to answer questions about the movement between them, where they. But that's where I've been in talent acquisition, which is really all about recruitment, global recruitment, finding talent, bringing talent on. I currently manage much of that portfolio of talent acquisition, which is like the career site, marketing campaigns, talent campaigns. I also have done. I actually started RBC's Employee Experience Center of Expertise. So for those of you around the HR wheel or anywhere of interest of that, employee experience, client experience, such a hot area to be thinking and working. And, with everything that's gone on with COVID, complete transformation of our world from a corporate perspective, I now am in our Future of Work and Culture organization, literally dealing with the day-to-day challenges and changes that are going on in our work world. David and I were just talking about some of the latest announcements that are coming out in the world of change. Where will we work? Or hybrid, where will I work? Where will I need to be? What are companies offering? In my opinion, the market is hot right now. Opportunities are there for you and out there for either finding what you want now or making a change from where you are today to what you might want to be doing. And, and so you have to think about how you consider how you brand yourself, how you position your experience, and help someone understand the skill, capability, and strengths you have to make you the right fit for that job. So that was a lot. And I welcome any questions, either within the kind of work wheel that I've been in or other, whether that's tech or consulting or, financial services. I've also been in Canadian manufacturing before I joined IBM. So, I've got a bunch of different background and experiences that I'm happy to share with. Let me ask you this, first of all. You took the time and selected joining this discussion. And so what's really important to David and I is that you get what you want out of this. You get to ask the questions you need to hear about, and maybe we can do some myth busting together, thinking about what your perceptions are, maybe what my perceptions are, what we think might help you. But let me ask you this question first. Because I've been in a number of different professions, you may have been drawn to this opportunity because of my marketing background, my marketing communications. Maybe it was tech, maybe it was banking, maybe it was HR, maybe it was sales. So you tell me, if there's a number of you that are interested in a certain area, we can start there and put that out on the table to help us navigate. Anybody want to share and comment or let us know?
If you want to comment or share, please use the reaction button and raise your hand so that we can take it in order. But this is a very exciting question. So please feel free to. Thank you, Min. Go ahead, Min.
Sure. Thanks for you sharing your story. It's very inspiring. I just want to say that I have similar background like you. I move around a lot of profession, and sometimes I feel like it's more like a drawback than a strength, because when you go into the interview, they often only focus on one area of your experience. So I wonder, how do you sell your experience, your holistic experience in different role, and convince the employer that they complement, they work together, and stand out from other tons of candidates who had more experience in one field, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. I'm with you. I look at my own resume and think, wow, if you didn't think it through, you think, what is all this, right? And what does it culminate to? Here's my best recommendation for you to think about this. We each need to coin our own story of how our work experience fits together. We may know it, but we have to be able to express it. And so being able to craft that story and say, I am a marketer, predominantly, I wanted to be a marketer. I've had these opportunities and done A, B, and C, and D. And then to strengthen my marketing experience, I went frontline. I wanted to learn more about what it was like to be the client, what kinds of needs our business has to drive revenue, signings, profit, whatever. And I've also got a really good lens on the people factor. I've happened to have worked in HR. So you coin your story, depending on what role you want, you coin your story to help explain the why you. And you probably all heard about this whole notion of what are your transferable skills, right? So we use that language, and the best person to help someone understand the why you, by the way, is you. And that means you have to work at it and think through how you want to tell your story. And I'll tell you, my story has changed. I always say I'm a woman, I can change my mind every day. And I do. There'll be a day where I think my next major career move is going to be back into marketing. Let's pretend that's my scenario, because I'm in HR right now. Well, I'm going to tell that story to the marketing team about or that job that I'm looking for, about how my past experience is a differentiator and actually a value to why I bring a different lens to my mindset when going for that next different job in a different area. And it's no different when I was in sales and coming back to marketing. I framed my sales experience based on how it informed me better about the target audience. Instead of saying I made my sales numbers and I was able to build solutions and sell hardware, software, and sales, which is what was happening at IBM, I turned that around and said, when I went back to marketing, because that was my, at that time, next move, I said, what sales afforded me was a deeper understanding in understanding the target audience, understanding their needs and their preferences, because marketing is all about creating demand generation. And now I feel absolutely connected to what the marketplace is looking for. I've learned a new layer of what's expected at events and activities to drive next best action, or framing it around that so that you can provide that value when you're talking about it. when recruiters are looking at resumes, and the average person that looks at a resume in the function of recruitment is minutes. And I'm sorry to say that. I know that's disheartening because we pour ourselves into perfecting our resume. It's tough as nuts. If you said to me, share mine, I'd be like embarrassed, because I would say mine isn't even, like, it's never done, right? We're always trying to improve ourselves and show our story and express ourselves. But if you can verbalize that and make sure that you on a page or a couple pages explains the why you, even in those different jobs, when you look at job 1, job 2, job 3, that will help the reader understand the why you for whatever role you're going after. Does that make sense? And maybe you're already doing that. So is there a follow-on question that you have on that?
It's beautiful said. Thank you. I never thought about crafting a story, like the why, like it's in the back of my mind, but I never find a way to verbalize it. So yeah, maybe I should sit down and craft a story.
Yeah. Do you know what that story is? It's like your elevator pitch. It's the why you. And I think it changes every single time you talk to a different person, right? Like if I go down a path and I want to talk about marketing, I switch gears and I don't amp up my HR speak. I talk about how that translates to understanding. And this whole notion of transferable skills is critical, gang. Like, this is where you need to think about what you do and how that relates to whatever's next for you, or how that builds your credentials and your capabilities. And so if I was to go from, I'm now in HR, if I wanted to go back into marketing, I'm going to amp up my storytelling on what I did the past 6 years that directly improves my ability to be in marketing. If I want to stay in HR, I'm going to tell my story saying all of that stuff is brought over into the world of HR, and here's what I bring that is differentiated, that helps for the future of work, for example, right? So it's how you tell that story. And you can have multiple stories depending on the job you're going for, right? But it is important. And some of you may have gaps in your resume, right? Like, I took a year off to have a baby and in Canada. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to do that. So if that's the case, I don't call it out like, and then there was a gap year and I took this year off to have my baby. I just leave it as part of the storytelling. And if maybe you don't have a job right now, or you've been out of work for a while, that doesn't mean that you don't have experience and capability and are doing things. You can always frame your story when you're talking about that into, so between this period and this period, I volunteered at the blank blank. I took my certification of XYZ, and I became, I focused my attention on learning more about X. Like, you can always bridge. And bridging is really important because it squashes an idea, perhaps a poor or a wrong idea of what your background is. You own your narrative. You own telling the story. And when you do that, it squashes any gaps, right? You want to answer those questions that a recruiter or a person that's looking for you as talent in an interview, you want to answer those questions ideally before they're asked. And if you need help, let me know.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Min, do you have a follow-up question to that, or you're good?
Yeah, it's okay. I just have a short question about the Canadian workplace culture. I've been here for 2 years, but sometimes I feel like Toronto is different from other places, and it seems like they don't like immigrants as much when they review the resume. So can you enlighten me on that, or can you share your perspective on that?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for sharing that, because all too often we presume that no matter where we are, there is a level of impact that Toronto offers that maybe other places don't. I think that's a very fair comment. I think it's real. I think that often in the Greater Toronto area and the surround of Ontario, you see a lot of momentum around what we perceive is an open-armed, ready community to work. And you don't have to go very far north or south or east or west out of that area, even in Ontario, to realize that you may be dealing with a different circumstance. I know that each and every one of us, even myself included, have things on our shoulder that we carry, that are biases, that are challenges that face each and every one of us. I think that's a reality. You know, we're not in a place in the world right now where I wish that wasn't to be said, but your comment is fair. I truly mean that. So then the key comes about representing yourself in your best light, achieving, you know, when you look at job descriptions, they typically have like, what do you need? Like at RBC, there's the must-haves, for example, and you want to emphasize that you have that capability and skill set. And if you face bias, which I think probably everybody here at some time in their life has, it's natural. Unfortunately, I'm not happy about it, but we can at times face it. Then you have to figure out, where do you want to be and what's the best place for you to be. If you feel that something is inappropriate or not barely being judged, I mean, I'm bold. I don't know if everyone else has the same. David, you know me, I will stand my ground, explain my place, explain who I am and what I can do. And then in my past, I've tried to be as graceful as possible and find the right opportunity for me versus put myself in an uncomfortable position. And also, I look for organizations, and this is perhaps you're already thinking this way. I look at, for example, top 100 employer, or which is, you know, or great place to work, which are all readily available lists of companies that say, hey, where should I work? Best place for visible minorities, best place for women. There are data points that you can use to help navigate, is this the kind of company I want to work for? And by the way, you can also have a great website and then read Glassdoor. Go find out about what people are talking about in the company, because honestly, I would wish upon each and every one of you that we each find whatever's next in our career journey path that makes us thrive, that brings us joy, that gives us an opportunity to be successful in whatever way we define success individually. And so to do that, we each have different recipes for what does it take to feel that. And so go and be diligent and find what that means to you, right? And be your authentic, beautiful self, and remind yourself that that's who you are every single time you say you're looking for the next job. And we forget to do that, right? We lose ourselves a little bit, and worse, we can get down on ourselves. And then depending on where you're at in your journey, it can feel like tough as nuts. So, you know, you have to find that strength, that tenacity that makes you who you are.
Thank you.
Thank you
That's
so
great.
much.
Great to hear. Yeah, very inspiring.
Thank you so much, Deenah. Fawad, please go ahead.
Hi, Deenah. Thank you for taking out some time, and thank you for sharing your story. My question was more sort of RBC centric.
Okay.
You know, since you're in the HR, I understand that, you know, there's a lot of burden on candidates to sell themselves, and that's appropriate. That's just natural in the recruitment process. My only question is, when hiring managers, you know, when we talk about sensitivity training, D&I, what sort of initiatives are you taking in terms of just helping hiring managers understand international credentials? You know, what, like, for example, I have an international lawyer. You know, what website do I Google to figure out what sort of firms are in certain countries? What sort of directories should I look for? Are you sort of taking steps in that direction? And I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. It's a great question, and I'm glad you're thinking about that. As you think about the experience that you may have, let me tell you, even at RBC, we have over 13,000 people managers worldwide. And I got to tell you, your experience will not probably be the same if you interviewed with me as you may with David, as you may with someone else in wealth management in the UK, or somebody in Singapore, or. But I will tell you a couple things that I'm very proud of on behalf of RBC, especially because I work in that area. I'm very familiar with it. Our global recruitment. So first of all, let me share. Recruitment is managed all differently by every different company. And so at RBC, it's a global recruitment function. So it's not just you know, recruiters by geography or teams that are, you know, you're over there in the UK, I'm over here in Canada. Sorry about that disruption. I thought I turned that volume down. So, the thing is, RBC has a global model. The global model affords us to have recruiters internationally that are actually extremely aware, as in we invest in understanding international credentials, schools, companies, organizations that are pillars of blue chip type companies internationally, education, school systems, credentials, compare tables of what you call O levels, we call, or whatever the case may be. My certification here in India correlates with an MIT correlation in the US. So we are really investing in that space and have aggressive thought process around understanding school, your pure education, certification. Now, on top of that, of course, there is, depending on which country you work in, which province you work in, there are federal regulations, provincial regulations, things that stipulate transferability of work, right? We all know that, and that's fair, right? So for example, my husband was a chiropractor in Canada. He can't practice in the US unless he gets certified in the US, and et cetera. So there are some of those kinds of things. So that's part one, which is actually understanding the school system. Part two of that is when at RBC, should you apply to a role? And by the way, we always have roles open. We are an organization of 86,000 employees worldwide. We're in 38 countries. We have a very diverse portfolio in financial services. You may say like, oh, I don't work for a bank, or I couldn't work for a bank. I never thought I would be working for a bank. I am not a financial services wizard. My background. However, RBC hires all different kinds of talent. And I really mean that. On top of it, your background and your credentials, we're very focused on transferable skill capability and what you bring to the table based on the business need at hand. The hiring manager, all people managers, go through dedicated training. So we have diversity and inclusion training. We're actually rolling out to all people managers anti-racism training. That's a mandatory, actually it's all employee, but our people managers will go through it. We have just launched, and I just went through it, just phenomenal curriculum around microaggression and learning more about how to behave, communicate, extend yourself, and not cause inequity in the workplace. Diversity, I think, is done. It's never done because there's a hell of a lot of work to be done, but it's more around equity and inclusion now, I think, that we're really deeply focused on for our workforce. And I would also say, look at companies that demonstrate that they walk the walk. You're going to say you have all this stuff, but if you know of a culture that is not inclusive, if you know of a place that you feel is toxic, maybe go check out Glassdoor and understand the company's actual employee perspective to understand whether or not it's the kind of company that you'd want to work for. I'm thrilled at RBC. And it continues to be top 100 employer. It continues to be on the Forbes list and on Great Place to Work. We are we've won Best Workplace for Persons with Disabilities, Women, Diversity and Inclusion, Mental Health. Like these are signs that I hope help you understand what kind of an organization you want to go after. Also, if you have credentials that are foreign, I've done this before to help somebody with their career exploration. We did the work. We mapped back to say this equates to this. Or I've even included links in resumes. I've even recommended including links in resumes to a school. Like, let's say in your resume, you have your list of the different schools you've gone to. And let's say you did your school in India. Or let's say I did my school in Kenya, which I did not, but let's say I did. If I did, then I could even add the link in my, hot link in my resume, right out to say, here's the credentials of the school that I went to. Sort of like to say, like, you got to understand this is a big deal. I went to a great, academy or an institute or whatever the case may be. So those are ways you can handle it. Tell me, does that sort of give you some thought process around RBC and any other next level questions about RBC?
Oh, no, for sure. And those are good things to hear. And I'd actually heard a lot about RBC and its initiatives from before as well.
Okay.
The only thing that I was basically trying to understand was, we talk about sensitivity training and all that sort of stuff, which is all very important. But I think there's a very important piece around people managers need to understand, all right, how do I go about dealing with an international resume? I do come across, I'm not going to point out at RBC or anything, I haven't had a recruitment experience, but I've been, at various companies where they just don't know what to do with it. They're like, your experience sounds great, but what do I do with this? And that confusion is something that I guess, from the HR perspective, from a people's management perspective, something that needs to be combated. And that's beyond just the exercise of some racial sensitivity training or anti-bias training. It's beyond that. It's the education piece around what do I Google? Like, for example, like, what do I Google to understand what an international company's like? What publications should I go and check to see what a foreign workplace is like? There are ways to figure it out. So it's really getting your head out of the domestic and more up to the global. And that's kind of what I was hinting at when I asked the question is, what sort of initiatives you have, even if your organization is global, but to make sure your Canada-based managers are thinking in that global manner. So that's basically where I was coming from.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering the question, though.
No, you know what? And it's a very fair comment, and I'm glad you're bringing it up because other people in today's discussion may also be facing that specifically. And you're right. Well, so beyond a recruiter's skill and capability, a part of that is helping anybody, whether it's a recruiter, a hiring manager, the way that you express yourself and where you've come and what you've worked on, even the type of language you can use in a resume that says, I work for the largest bank in Canada. So if I was to move to Singapore and they're like, RBC, what? I could say the largest bank in Canada based on market capitalization. So there's ways you can frame even the magnitude of experience you have in your resume. That's one option. The other is, see if you can speak, if there's a certain business area that you're keenly interested in, let's say RBC, maybe there's an opportunity to have a coffee chat with somebody within that area to start networking, connecting, understanding, and saying, hey, I have experience in ABC. I'm keenly interested in RBC and your area. I'd love to hear more about blah, blah, blah. I'm looking for my next opportunity. And I would love to fit, I'd love to have it being considered for a future opportunity at RBC. Here's who I am. This is what I represent. This is what I can do. And framing that could help. And if there's something I can do for you specifically for RBC, reach out. Like, I'm on LinkedIn. Don't feel shy. Honestly, I welcome that. We're a small enough group here that if you feel that there's something that I might be able to do for you or help you navigate through, just reach out and let me know.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you, Deenah, and thank you for asking that very thought-provoking question. Toto, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hi. So I work for RBC as well, but my end goal is HR. So I guess my question for Deenah is around, if I came to you right now and said, Deenah, I want to join your team, what do you need from me, or what are you gonna look for? And currently working towards that. I'm a banking advisor at RBC, but I've also taken the role of a manager delegate. I'm also in school finishing my BCom in human resource management.
Fantastic. Well, that's wonderful. I would say to you this, and first of all, definitely you should reach out to me. So we'll put that aside. Don't feel shy. I would say this. When we say things like, I would like to join HR, or I would like to join marketing, or insert whatever profession is, I would like to join sales. The next question is where? Where in that profession do you want to join? So I would then ask you, okay, so HR, are you familiar with HR's organization? And then we would talk through, okay, well, there are, HR is an organization of nearly 1,000+ people. There are all different kinds of jobs. It's kind of like marketing. There are all different kinds of jobs. And people that are in, let's say, benefits and compensation, wildly different skill set than people that are in recruitment, marketing, and channel strategy. Wildly different skill set than people that are in employee relations. So my point is, we'd have to look at, I would inspire you to think about, what is it in that profession that you want to go after? And the why you. So you say, well, I'm a great communicator. I do this, I do that. This is where my passion lies. Passion is wonderful, and it is a fuel for you to think about the what's next for you. But you also need to think about the skills, the transferable skills and the skills that you'd want to have to be able to get into that kind of a profession and role. If you came to me and said, I want to join your team, I would presume that you've already done the research to say, what is my team? What does my team do? Which team do? Now, that because we're in the same company, you can do that. If you don't know those things, then you have to ask those questions. Nothing wrong with asking those questions. But because you're in RBC, you would want to say, I see that you manage our future work and culture organization. And I know, and everything I've read, that's the hottest area around. I'm totally saying my own, I'm like just making myself feel good here, but like it is by far the hottest area in HR right now because it's at the tip of the spear. You are literally building the planning, the thought process of what the policies and procedures are going to be like in a massive time of change. That's the kind of work I want to be working on. And I see that you have marketing managers, content creators, designers, and blankety blank storytellers. And so of those, I'm keenly interested in better understanding X. And so I'd love to meet with you to speak with you about that team, what they do. I would say, okay, let's look, is there a job shadowing opportunity? Is there an opportunity you can do a stretch assignment where you can come in and do some work with my team? If we could fix with your manager that would be possible. We could do some sort of a stretch assignment where you get to try and do some work to see if you really like it, and build your credibility and your skill set, because that's important to have it on, you can even just put it on your resume. And then I would want to understand the what else, the what else you're looking for in the function of HR. By the very fact that you're studying HR is amazing. It shows your commitment to the profession. The next question is where and what. You might be brilliantly suited for benefits. I make, benefits and compensation, because you are already good with numbers. I'm making this up, but I'm making some presumptions. You can count money, so something must be right over there with what you do. So like transferable skills, if you got that, then boom, here's why I think my next entry point could be X. And then we'd partner together to figure out where that might be and have some coffee chats, introduce you to people, get yourself known and help people understand what you're interested in. So that would be what I would do. That would be, I hope, for each of you, but a scenario that you could consider depending on where you're at today and what you're doing and getting the help you need, because that's what a lot of this has to do with, is getting help, having the courage to ask for help, put your hand up, talk to people, network, inspire yourself, even though it takes a lot of energy and it's not fun sometimes, but I guess it's pressure, but go after it. Go and, encourage yourself to say, okay, today I'm going to go ask these 3 people for a coffee chat to learn more. And people usually say yes, that I know of, especially at RBC. Does that help?
It does, thank you. And I will definitely WebEx you and reach out to you.
Absolutely, sure. My pleasure. I can definitely bring you into the fold of exploration at RBC and HR.
Thank you so much.
Is there anybody else in the HR world that is thinking similar things, or are we all different from different backgrounds? Yeah, we've got another hand up. Okay. Well, maybe share your thoughts about HR if you don't mind.
Oh, hi, Deenah. Thank you for an amazing session. So I'm a bit confused. It looks like Toto has everything all figured out, but I don't have everything all figured out, to be honest. So mine will be slightly different. So I have a background in finance. I was just wondering if there's an opportunity to actually blend finance and HR together, if there are opportunities, because honestly, I don't have it all figured out, to be honest.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I don't judge yourself. I don't have it all figured out. If you ask me what's my next move, I would say I'm deeply confused and I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure out my own next career path. We all are on a journey together, and you're always trying to figure out and redefine yourself and find your happiness. That's what I would wish for every single one of us, right? That's why, I want to work and be in love with what I do, and I'm demanding, right? So I don't want to just do something for the sake of, I'm going to genuinely go out and find it. So here's my personal reaction to your thought. First of all, finance and financial services capability, or being able to do that kind of work, is prevalent, in my opinion, in every department. There is not a single area of the business that doesn't need someone that's good with finance and understanding. You can join a pure finance organization. You can join any organization and they will have finance or financial services or capability or that requirement. My automatic reaction to you without question is absolutely people that have a strong finance background often go into places where business casing, metrics, performance indicator, attention to detail, number crunching, planning, achieving plan, everything else along with it all fits within, for example, benefits and compensation, which is one of the largest divisions in usually an HR function, because we got to pay people. It's right, one of the big things we do. So could that be an opportunity for you for a transferable skill match? Yeah, it absolutely could. It absolutely could. And what you want to think about is your experience that you have to date. You may want to do a full-on career switcheroo, which I've done. I've literally abandoned ship being a marketer and I moved into sales, and I was a brand new guppy without any experience in it. And I felt every single day like people were looking at me like, oh, let's see if you fail. And I pushed myself to jump ship. You could jump ship and say, I don't want to do anything close to finance anymore. I'm done with it and I want to do something different. Or, which is not a bad idea, you capitalize on, I've done this in the world of finance. I believe in HR, you need those skills and capabilities. Talk about transferable skills. We talked about this. So my attention to detail, I've managed, a financial portfolio of X. I manage this process, that process, and the other, which transcend into whatever. And I think those are relatable in the world of. And then you pitch that as why you for that role in HR. But that's my immediate reaction to, a natural fit.
Yeah, thank you. Because I'm just here. I'm there. Like from Nigeria, I had the CIPM, so that's the HR certification. Okay. And then I moved to Canada, and I'm like, okay, I think I want to do the CPA, and I work in tax, and I'm like just everywhere. So I'm just trying to blend everything together.
All right. So then you work in tax, which tells me, which could mean maybe employee relations is an area for you. Because when you think about HR and you want to take those, you want to harness, I always say, I make a pie. My career experience is a pie. And each of my slices are the different pieces of experience that I have. And I'm constantly adding new ingredients to my pie. And it's never fully baked. So don't judge yourself. And so you have ingredients. You have what you just shared with me is brilliant. In employee relations or international, so there's a team that does just international, and they're constantly looking at rules, regulations, impact to tax and regulations, for the financial aspects of that. So for example, Deenah wants to work in the UK for a 2-year stint. There are rules, regulations, taxation, number crunching, et cetera, impact of cost, all those kinds of things. Deenah's compensation, the transition of Deenah's Canadian compensation to US compensation. These are all things that companies have to think about and what HR thinks about. So could that be a fit for you? Hell yeah, it absolutely could. So maybe that's an angle for you to explore further.
Yeah, I think that's something I'll actually enjoy doing.
Yeah. So maybe go and find, you go and you look around and you think, who does that job? Right. And I got to tell you, I surprise myself all the time. You think, who does that? There's no such thing. What's next for me? And then you realize, especially when you're looking at job openings, that there are jobs of things that you're like, oh, I can do that, that, and that. Maybe that's my job. Maybe that's my future, right? Maybe that'll help you find the next opportunity for yourself.
Great, thank you. That's some amazing insight there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Employee relations and comp. Think about things like that.
Thank you so much, Deenah. Emily, you can go ahead, but before Emily asks a question, we have two interesting questions that have been sent to me, and I would like us to get to it. So Emily, please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you. Hey, Deenah. So I also work at RBC like Toto. And so I had a very interesting chat with a manager once upon a time. So essentially, I'm looking to get into marketing. So I just decided to go where we go to find people and just send emails and stuff like that. So I guess my question is around Canadian work experience. Just to be frank with you, I was told that because I don't have Canadian work experience, I will not find a job in marketing. And that person told me to look elsewhere outside of RBC. So when we've essentially asked her what she does, it's exactly what I was doing in my previous role in a different country, right? Mm-hmm. And it's also what I do right now in my current position because I'm frontline. I understand all the products, I know all that. So I'm thinking to myself, but this is exactly what I'm doing, right? I've worked my way in the role that I'm in. I understand everything. I mean, I've been with RBC 3 years. Okay. So I guess wanted to get a comment from you in terms of this Canadian work experience, because even if you do apply for entry-level jobs that you see, you still don't get chosen or picked because, so now I'm thinking, is it because I've got credentials or my work experience is not from Canada? But if I look at it in my way, I'm still in the same organization. I've worked those 3 years, so I do have Canadian work experience in a way. So is that something that RBC pushes, or is it just a different person that I spoke to, or am I able to comment on that?
Yeah, I can certainly comment on that. First of all, I'm sorry that you have that burden of having to deal with that, because it's very frustrating personally. And I can attest to when things like that have been said to me in the past, it has made me feel, and I carry it, even though it might be 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 12 years ago, I carry it like it's an issue. So, you know, maybe that's a lesson for all of us, which is, yes, we may have had someone say something that is not what you want to hear. That's one person. And as much as that person's words can burn into your mind and affect you and your thinking pattern, my best recommendation is do not let one person define that kind of behavior. From the global recruitment perspective, I will immediately tell you at RBC, absolutely unacceptable. I'm being bold, but it's true to say that. Okay, so I would be shocked if you were talking to a recruiter, but if that's the case, also you can come and tell me that too, but not on this call. Come and talk to me separately, okay? Okay. But Emily, that's also not true, because I, for example, have hired somebody who is working for me right now. He has no Canadian experience. He was RBC, and I'm his first Canadian experience, and he's from India. So I don't buy that at all. Yeah. I think it's often difficult to transfer when people see you in a certain way. So Deenah is now in HR, and she's been in RBC as HR. I'm seen as HR, even though I have gobs of work experience before HR doing different things. And so part of that is your branding and who you are and what you demonstrate of your capability and your experience. Helping people know what you want and being able to communicate it is really important. Can't express that enough. What I mean by that is, if you're working in a certain role, and so at IBM, I was going to say IBM, at RBC and companies, they give you an opportunity to talk about your development plan, the what's next for you, what do you want to learn this year, where do you want to go from here? Tell your truth in a careful way, in a respectful way, but tell your truth. Do you know what? I've been doing this role now for 3 years. I think it's time for me to really go back to my roots, which was marketing. Here's what I've done so far. This is the kind of work I've worked on. These are the kinds of companies I've worked with. And I think there's this really neat experience of me thinking through how to leverage being frontline, understanding our products, having deep understanding of what client experience is all about, and tying that back into marketing. And so I'm going to go do some exploratory work in the area of where could marketing be. And maybe your manager, your current manager, doesn't have the information that they may need to help you along that way, but that doesn't mean you stop there. You got to spread your wings. You got to ask questions, and you got to talk to people to help you navigate. Otherwise, you may feel isolated, right? True. So, Emily, I think a part of that is you not allowing what somebody may have said to you in the past stop you from your future. Yeah, I really mean that, because I know I do that, by the way. We're all human. Somebody says something to you, carry it. Many of us carry it for a long time, if not forever. And so shake it off. I know it's very easy for me to say. I have about 20 million things and times in my career where I have been like, it's been tough. And if I led my life like that, or my decision-making or my thought process that way, I would get nowhere. That's truly what I believe. So if you have the courage and capability, see past it and keep moving forward. And if you want marketing and that's where you want to be, if it's not at RBC and we lose you, that's okay. You find what you need to do and be where you need to be to do the next thing you want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. However, use your skill and capability and experience to explore. That's what and you're in a company that would allow you certainly and support you to do that. So why wouldn't you? You got to turn over some rocks, look underneath them and figure it out and connect and introduce yourself and participate in things. Join networks, by the way, is another easy way to do that for each and every one of us. A digital network, a LinkedIn network, connect to things, join things, and make build your presence, and not as maybe what you are today, but what you want to be.
Yeah.
And so join networks, become known for what you're doing and what you've done in the past in that space.
Wow.
Same with your LinkedIn profile.
Wow, that's so, thank you so much for that answer.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
That's really, really good. And to your point, I remembered when I was in high school and a teacher looked at me and said, you can never get any calculation right. Like, I can't be good in mathematics. And I remembered when I saw the job at RBC and I thought to myself, it's a bank, will I be able to work there? But, to your point, and I remember when I was offered an opportunity after my co-op term, and it's like heavy numbers, right? And I told my manager at the time, and that's why we need people like Deenah to remind us of what we are capable of doing. Because I told my manager and I said, I don't think I can do that. And she laughed and she said, you can, David, and I believe in you. That alone gave me enough courage to go for it. And, I'm grateful for that manager. And again, everything Deenah is saying, I know that she never asked me to do this, but I remember when I met Deenah about 4 years ago, and Deenah is, everything she's telling you is there are things she live out every day. And, Deenah is like, she's like my friend, I would say. And thank you so much, Deenah, for being in my corner for the last 4 years. But again, please take notes. If you're not taking notes, you can, there's still time to take notes, because what Deenah is telling us are things that are very deep and true. But because of our time, because I want us to utilize this time we have together, there's a very interesting question by I don't know how to, Vachife. I'm not sure if that's the right pronunciation of the name, but it is similar to what this person, the answer the question that Emily just asked, but it's deeper than that. So this person said, I have an MBA, but just completed a diploma in advertising and marketing communication here in Canada. Even with 16 years of experience in the field of marketing, getting into the media industry must be at entry level. The person said must. I think maybe that's what they've been told. I feel taking an entry role will affect my career trajectory, considering where I was before coming to Canada. How can I navigate this?
Yeah. I'm going to share a thought with you. We need to ask ourselves, if we face constant feedback that's similar, we each need to ask ourselves why. What is driving that? And if there's something within your own capability that you can do to, you try something, if it's not working, maybe there's something else we need to look at to help you find and communicate what you deserve and what you should be going after. It's not right, first of all. Like, I'm not happy to hear that. It breaks my heart because it's frustrating, and I can imagine how that feels, because you know what you're capable of doing. Each of us in our hearts, know what we're capable of doing and what we want to strive to do. Sometimes we're also the opposite angle, which is you feel broken, you don't know anymore because you've been told something else and your self-image has changed. But seems to me that there's something underlying there that we need to figure out to unlock for you to help others understand your background, your skill set, your capability, where you come from, what you've achieved, your education and capability set, and the what's next for you. And you know, it's a hot enough market by the way, in marketing right now. We could go into Indeed, we could go, you know, do an exercise, go into Indeed or to any of these major, you know, platforms, LinkedIn, whatever. And there are jobs, like, let me tell you, the market is hot right now. So the question then is, what connects you to that opportunity and the why you? And that's not, I think I need more information to help you navigate what seems to be the challenge in getting the right answer that you want. Because with all that background and skill and capability and belief in yourself, then there's something missing if people are telling you that they can't see it. So worth exploring more. If you want to, you know, if you would like me to help you with that, reach out to me and let me know. Because I'd be happy to sort of better understand and you know, it's like we're very short questions and we're trying to uncover the why. And I never want to make an assumption and presume something. So it takes that next question, in my opinion, for all of us, ask that next question. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I always tell her, ask why 3 times. It drives me nuts as a mom, but I tell her, because I think we easily say, like, we have that first answer. Well, it must be because I'm from another country. It must be because, but maybe there's something else that we need to tweak, navigate, communicate differently to help you understand your background, your skills, and your capability. And then find an organization that gets it. And you may need to pivot a little bit off of what you used to be doing, but going entry level for something, if you believe you have skill capability in, I mean, you know, we have to think hard about, is that the right move? I mean, that's what Fresh Start Hub is all about. It's about recognizing your talent and your capability and helping you navigate and shape that. And by the way, that boot camp, I want to go to that boot camp. That's freaking awesome. It's awesome. I would encourage any one of you to step forward and take the opportunity, because I don't think at any time, no matter where you are in your career, you feel like you don't need help. You always need help. And this is a great recipe that you've put together, David and team, from Fresh Start, to really think about what you need to think through to get you there. So maybe that's a gift for you, that if you can become a part of, that might be helping you solve this exact situation.
Thank you so much, Deenah. And yeah, because of our time, I would have asked Fachife to ask answer some of Deenah's questions or clarifying questions, but because of our time, maybe, like Deenah said, please feel free to reach out to her after this conversation. Yeah.
You know what, but I got to tell you, David, what you're doing with Fresh Start and what the types of programs are that are out there, you know, that to me sounds like an absolute, like, have you started there? Have you taken the time to invest in yourself, to ask more questions about the why not and what can I be doing? Sometimes it's just about storytelling. Like, I am in marketing. I'm a talker, you can tell. And my husband's always like, where's that off button? So, you know, if you have that, that's something that I have in my back corner. Some of you may not have that. Like, look, you know, some of you don't even have your video on. You don't want to even be present physically. And I respect that. You know, there are times where you want video on or not, but you have to unlock your story so that you can express yourself in that confident, powerful way to say, this is what I am. This is what I can do for you. Here's what I would like to do for your organization, etc.
All right. Thank you so much, Deenah. So this one is a very interesting one. So I will read it very slowly, and then we can take Munira and Toto, and maybe we'll round up. So the person said, I've been working abroad for more than a decade. I have my family here in Canada, and I've been going back and forth because I have to I'm still working abroad. I'm seeking to make a permanent switch to Canada. I can function in more than one role. The person currently works in oil and gas. The person said I work in oil and gas. And we don't have a lot of that in this province, so in Ontario. So if you were in my shoes, how would you proceed? By the way, I'm in engineering and I'm studying to becoming a project manager.
Wow. Congratulations on being so focused on what you're doing. Okay. Talk about the hot seat, huh? Here's my thought. In Ontario, if you are bound to Ontario and you're in a situation where you are not going to be able to move, because my gut reaction would be like, go to Calgary, go to Edmonton, go to Alberta, go to, be where this is bananas hot, the skills that you have, the engineering, the oil and gas experience, the fact that you've got this credentials. My goodness, that would sound super exciting. I don't know if you've explored other provinces. I'm just saying, I know that means a move. If that is absolutely like not happening anytime soon, I would then say, look in province and look at the organizations that have headquarters or major offices in the Ontario area, in the downtown core and wherever your proximity is. Many times in our career search, we forget to ask ourselves which company. Where would I want to work? Who's the best at this, and where would I want to be at doing it? Someone asked me the same thing. They said to me, Deenah, what's next for you? Where would you be? And I'm like, where would I be? I'm at RBC. Why would I be anywhere else? But pushing yourself to ask those questions, those hard questions, which company would I want to join? And being informed is important. Depending on what field you're in, where you want to be, I would say, look in Ontario, find the company that is that possibly you may want to work for. You're working abroad. Are there any companies abroad that know your experience, know your companies that are also in Ontario? Because those are that credibility of, oh, I work for a blank company in abroad. And so insert country here. And I'm now making a move to Canada. Maybe their network can help you. Maybe your network in abroad and the connections they may have in Canada may help you. And connecting that way in the local opportunity space in this might be the right thing. Now, it depends on what you want to do in oil and gas, but from an industry and sector perspective, there's also government. There's so you may not naturally think of that, but government for oil and gas and all of the things that we do in that space. The notion of being a project manager and engineer, wow, first of all, congratulations, that's massive. And so achieving that gives you an open door to much more than pure oil and gas. You may want to specifically stay in oil and gas. And if that's the case, think about the companies. And, my sister's husband is in mining, in metallurgy. And he, in the beginning of his career, was all around the world with my sister. And then they came back to Ontario. And he's like, but there aren't any mines here. What am I supposed to do? And he joined a headquarters organization in the downtown core in the GTA. So at the time, that's what he's doing now. He may choose to move countries and do something else again, but there are opportunities. So I don't know if you've thought about it that way, but that would be my response.
Right. Thank you so much, Deenah. Apparently, there are a few RBC employees on this call that are looking to switch career. So and I think they came to the right place and they're asking the right person because they see that, oh, she's in HR, so she might have answers to the question. And I think you do, because you answered them very well. So Munira, please go ahead, then I will take Toto afterwards.
Sure.
Hi, Deenah.
Hi.
As David already mentioned, I am also in RBC and I have been looking for this opportunity for a while to talk to you.
Good.
And first of all, I would like to tell you that you are very charming and very strong personality. I can definitely listen to you 3-4 more hours. So we don't need any off button.
That's very kind. Thank you. Hey, listen, you don't need an event like this to reach out to people. It's wonderful that you know what, it's thanks to David and team that you found the courage to spend the time and to invest in yourself and have a conversation. But if you are in an organization right now and you're thinking about the what's next for you, I urge you to think about, I always say, look inside first. If you're working right now and you may be thinking about the what's next, look inside first. I'll at least give yourself permission to ask those questions. You may find that no answers are there, but you owe it to yourself because you build a relationship, credibility, a skill set, and experience in an organization.
Yes.
So go ahead, tell us, you're looking for change also, yes.
Yes. So basically, I had applied for a client advisor position, and after that, I completed my PMP. And RBC is a great organization. I really want to work with the same organization for a long time, but in the different department like project management, business process improvement, anything like that. I have been looking for it for a while, but I really don't know from a CA role, how would I, go further to project management department? What would be the way to move ahead? So if you're my mentor, how would you suggest me to move further?
So part of this is how you explain the why you in another role. So you're a client advisor, you've got skill set and capability. The key is what are you doing? Like you've heard from other people, they're taking the education, they're proving that they're building their story around the what I've done this and here's where I want to be and here's what I can do. Project management, there's obviously an entire, that's an entire profession for you to be invested in. By the way, at RBC, we have a lot of courses, programs, education that's readily available. Go and get familiar with it. Join the community, the internal community. Get on RBC Connect for those of you in our organization and network and connect with other people. There are like entire organizational teams. Go and follow a business unit in your organization that may have more information about what they do. So let's pretend I was interested in cybersecurity. I could go and follow the cybersecurity team, go and take all the education that they offer to me for free, whatever the case may be. That's an RBC answer, and I'm sorry that's boring for all of you others. But point is, extrapolate what you want of that. Go and get, so LinkedIn offers education. There's it feels like information is all around us, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's a free certification, whether it's pay for certification. There's a lot of information readily available. Go and familiarize yourself with what that future might look like so you can speak intelligently about what that would be for you, right? And you mentioned a couple of different things, process improvement, that's an entire area.
Yeah.
Project management, entire area. Program management, a different area, especially in large companies. So helping yourself by being a little bit more clear, which is tough because you might not know the answers, but giving yourself some direction of, because I'm good at A, B, and C, I think this one would be the next best thing for me. I've invested time. I understand what it is. I would like to explore this further. Will help you.
Okay, I got it.
You don't have to do that alone.
Yes, thank you so much, Deenah. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Deenah. I want to make a statement now that Deenah emphasized on the importance of learning, professional development. So I would strongly encourage people on this call to please take it seriously. And maybe, this is maybe, so don't quote me on this, we may be offering a 6-month LinkedIn learning to every participant of the bootcamp, but it may be. We are still having that conversation. We're not there yet, but we are actively, like I said, we don't just want to help you and drop you off. We want to provide as much support as we can to you, but we are advocating and fighting behind the scene for members of our community. That's, you can take away from us. So maybe, but once it's finalized, we'll let everyone that gets into the boot camp know about it. But we're actually working on that behind the scenes. So I just thought I should mention that. And please utilize all the opportunity you have. There are so many opportunities actually out there. So please utilize them. But I will let Toto ask a question.
It's not necessarily a question. It's just that what Emily talked about really touched me because I've been through the same situation. You know, for me, moving from a small country called Botswana, first of all, if you introduce yourself, somebody's going to ask you, where did you say you're from again? So imagine now having to present your resume with whatever I did in that small country that they don't even know about, you know? So I just wanted to say to Emily and to everybody on the call that once you make this change in your, changing your mindset on who you listen to and, you know, things like that, everything changes. I think I've been working for RBC for 3 years now, and people will tell you that for now, I'm very relentless in what I want at RBC, and I'm very clear about it. And if anybody tries to stand in my way of trying to do that, you know, they'll know that, okay, no, Toto is mean serious business about this. You know, RBC has a lot of resources that could really help you. Having a conversation with just one person is not gonna cut it. You know, we have RBC Connect, like you said. I found Fresh Start Hub on RBC Connect just by chance, you know, and I do things like, not because I'm trying to apply for a job, but let's say I'm interested in HR and I see that there's a post, I message the recruiter and I'm like, hey, so what are some of the things that you're really looking for? And they will normally point out all the important things that you might need to work on or that they're gonna look at. And then you can go from there and start working on those things for those future posts that you might want to. So I just wanted to say to everybody that there's a lot of resources out there. You know, now we also have Fresh Start Hub. We have RBC Connect at RBC. You know, our VPs, whoever, they're always a message away for you to just say, hey, you know, I feel stuck. What do I do? This is what I have. But also in the context of being an immigrant, it really is a challenge when you present your resume, you know, because you don't have the Canadian experience. And I think if I was able to move from my country and transfer my credits from the University of Botswana to Thompson Rivers University and finish my degree from third year, I think there should be things like that in place in work as well, where I can be able to present my resume with my experience from back home. And you're able to say, these are the measures that we use to say, okay, this is equivalent to what you did back in your country and stuff like that. But apart from that, I just wanted to say experiences that everybody has shared here are very valid. It's something that's happening. But personally, for somebody who's worked at RBC, I just want to say that there's a lot of resources for you to get ahead. RBC gave me a chance when nobody didn't even want to look at my resume because I just migrated to Canada. You know, so look out for those resources. Yes, have the conversations with people, but also seek out more information. Be hungry for it. And I'm telling you, there's so much to find there.
All right, thank you so much, Toto. We have 9 minutes to go, so I would let Deenah take it away. But okay, so there's one question I would ask, and then Deenah can give us like advice that we can, you know, as a leader in the space, and also as a mentor who is talking to our mentees, that what we can learn or what we can do, you know, going forward. So my question is, some people struggle with the fact that, and I struggled with this for some time as a newcomer to Canada, but what helped me was Toastmasters. But some people are still may not be like me, who is an extrovert, very outgoing and all that, because they struggle with like the accents, you know. So people, that alone causes people, you know, struggle with their self-esteem, that, okay, maybe I'm not getting the opportunity because of my accent or because of how I look and all that. What advice do you have for some of us who may be struggling with something like that, especially in the workplace? So we don't speak up, we don't ask questions. When they say, do you have any questions during meetings, we just keep quiet because we don't want to be seen as, oh, he has a very terrible accent or something, or we don't want to be living.
You know, you're bringing up a very sensitive topic, and something that many of us are challenged by, which is, this microaggression and problem that some may feel, that because you do not have the same accent as the general population, that you, for some reason, are not the same level of communication or understanding or capability or whatever that negative energy is. A mentor once told me at a fairly young in my career, he said to me, every day someone is going to see you and may pass judgment. Every day someone is going to see you as a visible minority woman, or or that you may have gotten this job because you're a visible minority woman, or will not tolerate you. I've actually been told, by the way, that my voice is too high and that I need to lower it. So I know that's not an accent, but those are like personal things. Like I can't really efficiently talk this way and found, be my authentic self. Although I did try several months in a row, but it didn't work. Like, this is a world of crazy. And when that's a true story, gang. And I can't believe I did my deeper voice for you, but this is real. This is what we're dealing with as people. And so the advice was, be your authentic self, speak the way you speak in the way that you speak. You do not have to be apologetic. How many times have you spoken to someone who says, I'm sorry, my English is not that great. And then they talk and you're like, wait a minute, you just spoke perfectly. I don't even know what was not great about what you just said. So part of it is a bird on our shoulder that we carry that is our own challenge. We don't want to speak because we may have some sort of a voice, but bringing your authentic self to wherever it is, whether that is at work, at home, in your community, is what this world needs more of. So you have to somehow find that inner fire inside of you and be your authentic self is number one. Speaking up, so we're talking about culture and behavior. We're in a world where, especially in North American culture, participating, speaking up, creating a presence for yourself in a room is up to you. We can all go into a meeting and not say a single word the whole meeting. And not that you didn't work hard, take notes, know exactly what the next step is and get ready to do it. But if you don't engage and communicate, people don't know that. And so you have to find that courage, one, to be your authentic, beautiful self, and two, to step forward and communicate, especially when you have something to say. And if you're an introvert, like as a leader, I know who my crew is on the more quiet side. I'll ask them, I'll say, David, you haven't mentioned your perspective. I'd love to hear your thoughts on why this is, what you think about, the budget review. So you may not have leaders around you that do that, but you can also do that for other people. It is a real thing. And it's a tough one, because I would never want anyone to have to feel like they need to change their voice, change their communication style. You have to find people. You need to work for a company that has a respect for you anywhere. Actually, you need to live in a world that has respect for you. That's what I want. But for every one of us, by the way, not for you, but for all of us. But find and surround yourself with people that are open and understand. If you can do that, you'll already break through that paradigm that your accent somehow diminishes your awesome ideas and creativity and brilliance. I know, David, what do you think? What, you've brought it up, and you've certainly probably had this question before in other conversations.
Yeah, I think that you answered it really well. It goes on to show that you're a good communicator and you're very good with storytelling. You answered it very well. I used to struggle with that until I joined Toastmasters, and I realized that, I started making speeches and people walk up to me and say, when are you going to give the next one? And I started thinking to myself, oh my God, so people actually understand what I'm saying. So, and that's why that boosted my confidence. And so, like, I can speak to anyone, anywhere, anytime at this point. So but you nailed it. You said it beautifully well. Like, being of your authentic self, speaking up. And sometimes we play out this narrative in our head. It's not true a lot of the time, because when you ask people, has anyone told you that you have a terrible accent? Some people, nobody has ever told them before. They just assume and believe that, because I'm from a different country or I have a different background. So it's maybe that's the reason why I'm not getting that opportunity, but sometimes it may not have anything to do with us. But to your point, any organization that would discriminate based on how you speak, and they are not looking beyond that, they are not looking at your brilliance and all those other factors, because that can be taught, right? So I think that it's unfortunate. And sometimes, again, we may want to look inward, ask ourselves, because it's easy for me to think, oh, maybe other people don't like me, maybe they're judging me because of, but I took the initiative to say, you know what, let me go learn how to improve my own communication skill. And it took a lot of investment. Let me give you an example. Like, I remember the first 2 years when I came to Canada, I was reading 10 new words every day, so that I can be able to know the common English words in North America. So I had to learn like 4,000 words. So what I would do is I would try to use it in sentences, even though it doesn't make sense sometimes. But so again, Toastmasters help. So I would say that sometimes it's stories we tell ourselves, right? So, but Deenah, thank you. I don't want to, it's all about you and us today. So we're at it's actually 7:30, but if you can round it up, just give us like advice, like takeaway advice or rounding it up, what you want to tell us, basically. Maybe closing advice that, okay, anything, sure. And then we can end it. Yeah.
I believe that we are each where we need to be right now because it serves a purpose. And the challenges you may be facing right now, or the circumstances, or your hunger and need for change and opportunity is what defines you right now. And, just by you joining today's discussion and spending the time to just hopefully pick up a few nuggets that you may be able to put in your back pocket for yourself, think about what it takes for you for the next opportunity, and the fact that, each of us are striving to find what will we thrive in, what gives us joy in the workplace, or even in life. And I know we said it before, but yes, you may have faced challenge. Yes, you've heard negative energy. Yes, but you have to remind yourself of your strength. Be tenacious. Don't let 1, 2, 3 people's feedback, and even if it's the same feedback, be what defines you, because that's baloney. That's not who you are. And you need to remind yourself of that. You need to believe in yourself enough for that. Surround yourself, if you can, with people that can help you. I find it very difficult, by the way, to ask for help. If I do, gosh, everybody must, right? Like, it's not, but give yourself permission to ask for it. Put your hand up. And if you don't get it where you think you should get it, that's okay. There'll be some other doorway and some other path. Fresh Start is a perfect example of a true commitment to trying to help each and every one of us find that next opportunity, and to understand the uniqueness of being an immigrant or different and joining the Canadian world and what that means. And each and every one of your experiences is different. You come from different backgrounds, different countries, different history, work, education, family, you name it, culture, everything. And so bring that all together and redefine and structure yourself to be that's what makes you the strongest, because that is what makes you who you are. And each and every one of us are beautiful in our own way, and we're perfectly human. So embrace that. Allow yourself to absorb it. And I see some questions here in the chat around like how did you do your switcheroos, and you changed jobs, and how did you get there, and what did you do? don't think for a moment that people don't have hardship and challenge. You never know what they've gone through or what it's taken for them to get to where they are. And find people that can support you. You know, ask for help. That's it. I'll start repeating myself again. David, you better cut me off.
All right. Thank you so much, Deenah. Thank you so much for this. I really, I learned a lot from there. There's so many things you said that I'm just hearing for the first time. So as you were talking, I was taking notes. And so I want to say thank you so much for that. And also, like Deenah already said, please don't be afraid to ask for help. And also, if you're here and you're not yet a part of the Fresh Startup community, or you know some people that can benefit from some of this session, when you say you want to help other people, this may be your opportunity to do that. And sharing is caring, right? So please share it with everybody you love and care about that you think might benefit from this session. We have another senior director from RVC actually next month for our next session. Is in cybersecurity. So if you know anybody that is trying to get into cybersecurity or trying to get into operations, this is that may be a good opportunity for them to be a part of it. And yeah, so thank you so much, Deenah, for your time. Thank you for your support. Thank you to everyone too that are part of this, because without you, it would just be me and Deenah just chatting for 1 hour, 30 minutes. Although I don't get bored, I can't get bored listening to Deenah because I have so many questions I want to ask Deenah, but that's personal. But anyway, so thank you all so much. Thank you, Deenah. I really appreciate this, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, David.
Have a good night.
And thanks to each of you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
Bye.